From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN statewide news this Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, as of this morning, Bridger Canyon Road, northeast of Bozeman, is now completely open to the public. It reopened last night, but firefighters are asking people to please drive carefully as fire personnel remain in that area. Several trails and roads remain closed in the area, including Bridger Foothills Trail and the M Trails. Despite red flag conditions, the management team says the fire is still showing little growth. Well, more than 100 wildfires continue to burn on the west coast this afternoon. The Bobcat fire northeast of Los Angeles exploded again yesterday, inching closer to the historic Mount Wilson Observatory. In Oregon, aerial video shows entire communities destroyed. Across the state, at least 8 people are dead and 16 remain missing. The smoky air is so dangerous that 1 in 10 ER visits there are for asthma. Now, those huge wildfires are prompting serious air quality concerns. Officials warn the air in states hardest hit by the flames will likely remain toxic for days or even weeks after the fires are extinguished. This, as a new report shows, 97% of fires that threatened homes since 1992 were human-caused. 59 million homes sit within wildland urban areas and at some point were less than a mile from a wildfire. Now, fire experts hoping for rain and cooler temperatures, so we're going to head to our weather expert, Rob Griggs, to find out if that's on the way.
Well, we hope it is. And right now, the closest target we have to something that resembles rain will be toward the weekend. In the meantime, dry weather across the area. Let me show you across the U.S. where smoke is an issue, all the way from the Pacific Northwest into Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, down there in Northern California. Lots of smoke out there. Meanwhile, our friends down in the Gulf Coast area, boy, they're just being hammered with what's left of Hurricane Sally. Historic, life-threatening storm surge and flooding. What a mess. As far as dry conditions are concerned, these go hand in hand with some of the fires we've seen. Very strong concerns out there in the Four Corners area to our south and to our west. Not nearly as bad in Montana, but Wyoming is starting to look a little ugly as far as drought concerns are figured out. So we'll have a look at our immediate forecast, what that means for us in just a little bit. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, Hurricane Sally remains a powerful, slow-moving storm triggering potentially historic flooding in the Gulf Coast. Alabama and the Florida Panhandle are getting huge amounts of rain and sustained winds of 105 miles per hour. Hundreds of thousands are without power today. Nancy Chen has the latest.
Hurricane Sally came ashore early this morning, lashing coastal Alabama and the Florida Panhandle with torrential rain and punishing winds.
Wow, this hurricane is no joke.
The slow-moving storm strengthened into a Category 2 overnight, with winds of 100 miles per hour, ripping apart homes like this one in Mobile. Gusts were so strong they tipped over this big rig crossing Mobile Bay. The rain has been so relentless, it punched holes into this gas station shelter. This Alabama resident evacuated to a hotel and worries about what he'll go home to.
I worry about the trees, maybe taking my roof off or something like that. You know, that's the reason I left and came here.
On Dauphin Island, Alabama, the storm shredded an RV, ripped the wall off this building, and nearly toppled this structure. Parts of Florida are already seeing extensive damage as Sally whipped up waves and triggered flash flooding. You can see how flooded these roads are because of this relentless rain as Hurricane Sally has hit us here in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. As the hurricane made landfall, it also triggered both tornado and flash flood warnings here. Sally is expected to dump rain from Florida to Mississippi, which could lead to damaging storm surge and historic flooding in the region.
This one is just so sporadic. It is just Sally's all over the place.
Louisiana also felt the effects of Sally. Storm surge overcame levees in St. Bernard Parish. Hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses in Florida and Alabama are without power, and the full extent of damage won't be known until Sally moves farther inland. Nancy Chen, CBS News, Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
And Hurricane Ivan killed 57 people on this day in the same region back in 2004. Well, there's officially an empty seat on the Bozeman City Commission, and it turns out if you live in Bozeman, you may be eligible to apply. Former Bozeman Mayor Chris Mail resigned last week after reported accounts of bullying, intimidation, and administrative interference were released in city documents. Former Deputy Mayor Cindy Andrus is now serving as mayor, leaving a vacancy on the City Commission. State statutes require the city to fill the vacancy within 30 days. That deadline to apply is September 29th. Well, a shooting on the south side of Billings turned into a crosstown pursuit last night. The suspect now facing felony charges. Just before midnight, a police officer saw two people in a vehicle shooting at another car at the intersection of South 28th and 8th Avenue South. The vehicle drove off and authorities followed. The suspect led authorities all the way to the west end and then back to the south side. The suspects eventually crashed at 5th Avenue South and South 34th Street. Police then arrested the driver, a 30-year-old man, and his passenger, a 21-year-old woman. So far, there's no word if anyone was injured in that shooting. Well, the Big Ten Conference will play football this fall. After all, yesterday the conference reversed its postponement decision made last month. This will kick off October 24th. The Big Ten decision came after months of pressure from coaches, parents, players, and politicians. The conference will require student athletes, coaches, trainers, and other individuals on the field for all practices and games to undergo daily testing. Now, those test results must be completed and recorded prior to each practice or game. Well, several University of Montana student athletes are in quarantine after a recent number of positive coronavirus cases identified on campus. Athletic Director Kent Haslam confirms to MTN News a number of Grizzly student athletes are taking precautions after learning of positive COVID-19 tests. Haslam did not say which sports the athletes play. Now, the athletic department has closed the Washington Grizzly Champions Center for proper sanitation with plans to reopen it on Thursday. Well, today the state reports one more death out of Rosebud County tied to COVID-19, plus 190 new active cases across the state. 82 of those cases in Yellowstone County. Their confirmed active cases in the state's largest county so far is now at 752 and 54 related deaths. The statewide death toll is now at 141 with more than 290,000 tests done so far. Well, a new survey shows the coronavirus has left the restaurant industry in limbo. Nearly 100,000 restaurants have closed either permanently or for the long term because of the pandemic. That's left nearly 3 million employees out of work. The National Restaurant Association states the industry is on track to lose $240 billion by the end of the year. Well, here's some edible news this noon. Free food today at McDonald's. Anyone who buys a 6-pack of the new spicy nuggets gets a second 6-pack for free. McDonald's is calling this promotion Spicesurance. This is the first time the restaurant has flavored nuggets since they were introduced in 1983. The deal is only good today, and you must order through the McDonald's app. Up next on your new news, keep your eye out for new programming on PBS. How a labor of love has turned into something special just for kids. But first, Rob's in next with your statewide weather forecast. Don't go away.